Hey guys, welcome to the Jiminy Peak virtual orientation. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the most important aspects of your employment with us. But first, let's see what Tyler Fairbank, CEO of the Fairbank Group, has to say.
I'm 46 years old, and I've been here at Jiminy longer than I've been alive. You may be wondering, how is that possible? Okay, message from the future. Not 46 years old anymore. Well, my mom and dad moved here shortly before I was born. Hi, I'm Tyler Fairbank, president of Jiminy Peak Mountain Resort. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk you through what makes Jiminy special, what we're all about, and why you play such an important role here. There isn't a single job that I haven't done here at Jiminy. I can appreciate the challenges and also the fun that goes along with each and every one of your positions. It reminds me when I was a teenager, we spent a summer and we were painting the lift towers. And we were painting a certain portion of the lift tower with this really heavy tar that we used to use. Because people, when they would go by on the chairlift, they'd stab towers with their poles. It was a hot day. I had my shirt off, I was harnessed in, way up high. My foot slipped off as I was reaching to get the last little bit. I swung smack dab right into the tower. Boom, stuck to the tower. Needless to say, I can relate. But let's bring it back to today. This part hasn't changed. Our vision as an organization has been a guiding force, and that vision is to be among the most admired, respected, and enjoyed mountain resorts in America, or simply put, to be the best in the business. The way we go about doing that every single day is to make it easy and make it fun for our guests and for our staff. Let's face it, skiing, riding, not easy sports. Downhill mountain bike riding, aerial adventure park, they're not so easy either. Each and every one of us work every day to make it as easy and fun as we possibly can for each of our guests and our staff. So how do we go about making this happen? Guys, we're in the business of creating experiences. In this high-tech world that we live in, check out my new iWatch. We are in the high-touch business. Now, it's not that we don't have high technology, whether it's our snowmaking or grooming equipment, software applications that drive our business. We are in the business of creating these memories in a high-touch way. So what we do is we call these touch points. On the back of a napkin, on a given day, a guest that comes here to Jiminy Peak is going to experience 50 or more interactions with us as staff members. Those are 50 opportunities every day to make magic and make memories with our guests. Whether it's smiling, laughing, helping out, assisting, these are the things that we need to take advantage of, the opportunities that we need to look for to create these experiences for our guests every single day. So what does that really mean? Well, the functionality of your job is very important, and whether it's a certain role that you play or a safety function that you offer, a service that you deliver, that's really important. But at the end of the day, what the guests think of us, the experience that they had here, that's the most important thing. We go to great lengths to measure that all the time, throughout the year. Compare that to other resorts. It's critically important to us. It's the way we measure success. It's through our guests' eyes. You know, as I reflect upon it and think about it, with each passing season, this becomes more and more important. Our competitors get better. Our guests expect more and more from us. We have to constantly be raising the bar about how we treat our guests, how we take care of them, and how we make them want to come back over and over again. So let me give you a real life example. Recently we had a young 3-year-old guest who couldn't jump on the trampoline in the mountain adventure park in the same way that her cousins could because of a medical condition. There was stress in this little girl's eyes, and 2 of our employees went above and beyond. They got up on the trampoline and they helped this little girl to experience the joy of jumping on a trampoline the way that her cousins had experienced it. Well, not only did it take a potentially bad day and make it a great day for this little girl, but we got an email a few days later from this girl's grandmother. She couldn't believe the difference that this made for this girl and how it changed her life. These employees might never have imagined the difference that they made that day, but boy, did they make a difference. Safety is another big topic around here, and despite our best efforts, our guests and our staff can get hurt. We have a moral, ethical, and fiduciary responsibility to try to keep the mountain as safe as possible. We're all in this together, and we have a lot of employees who walk around the resort every single day. If we all can approach our days with an eye towards safety, and if we see something, solve it, or report it and find somebody who can fix it. Just like we can all have an eye for safety, we can all have an eye towards the beauty of the resort. If you see trash on the ground, or an overflowing trash can, a broken fence post, or a light bulb that's out, take care of it or find somebody that can. Lots of hands make light work. We reinvest millions every year to make the resort look beautiful and to continuously improve it. Each one of us can make a personal contribution to make the resort look more beautiful. So there you have it. That's what makes Jiminy special. That's what we're all about. And that's the important role that you play in delivering unbelievable memories for our guests every day. I look forward to seeing you on the mountain. I'm 46 years old and I was...
Shortly.
And Fozzie goes, frog laughter, something like that. Sorry, my good roll. Yep. And blah. Hey CM, pipe down.
Bleep it out.
Somebody get me a cocktail. I'm 46 years old, and I don't know what the I'm gonna say next.
That was fun. And to keep it simple, this is Jiminy Peak's philosophy: to provide excellent guest service in a fun environment. And here are some faces that you need to know. At a Federal Group level, we have Tyler, serving as president, Brian, his dad, as chairman, Ray Boudreau as CFO, and Adam Filson as general counsel. Our department directors are Jim Van Dyke, serving as VP of Environmental Sustainability, Paul Maloney, COO, Jeanette Van Dyke is Human Resources, Katie Fogel is Marketing, Jason Griffin is Base Operations Director, and David Kammer is Lodging. Recording your time. This part is very specific, but generally speaking, you'll use your social security number to register your time. No early or late punches are allowed, and remember that if you don't follow these instructions, there will be a disciplinary action. Finally, although there are 8 clocks on property, you should check with your manager which one of them you have to use to punch in and out. Overtime. That's the good stuff. Overtime may be needed. It also has to be pre-approved. This means that you can't just show up one day and ask your manager to put you to work. They will ask you first to come for an extra shift or two should they need you, and that's how it works. Remember that overtime is every minute after hitting 40 hours in a work week, and it's paid at 1.5 times your regular pay rate. Work week. Once again, this is very specific to your own department, but here are some guidelines that will apply in 90% of the jobs at Jiminy Peak. Calling in. You gotta make sure that you call your manager and also HR whenever you cannot make it to the peak. By calling HR, we will be able to radio your manager, so now they know that you will not gonna make it, so they can adjust their plan for the day. Mealtime. Most positions here pay for your lunch period. This doesn't mean you can't have lunch while on the clock. It merely means that your manager may ask you to eat at your own station. Being late frequently or just not showing up for your shift are two of the reasons that may lead you to a termination. Breaks. Check with your manager how they handle breaks in their own departments, since it is very particular in each one of them. Next, when do I get paid? We get paid every Friday. The work week starts on Monday and finishes on Sundays. For all the hours you work in between, you get paid the next Friday. We use direct deposit only to make it easier for everybody. And you can also check the details of your paycheck on the web. Remember that website you logged in to complete your online paperwork? That same one will show you the details of your pay stub. Where do I park? Well, Captain America says no parking in parking lot 1, 2, or 3 unless you have a sticker. Stickers come directly from Paul Maloney, but unless you have one, we have to park in parking lot 4 or parking lot 8. On very, very busy days, you may also be directed to specific parking lots by your manager, and whatever you do, please do not park like the red car here. Dress code. We're going to cover the most important aspects of this policy, but if you need a full version of it, you can always get a digital copy from your employee account or from the HR office in the administration center. Helmet and skiing after hours policy. Helmet. The use of the helmet is now mandatory while on duty for all employees that are required to go up on a mountain. This includes, for instance, snowmakers, ski instructors, ski patrollers, etc. If you have a helmet, you are welcome to use your own. Just make sure it complies with the ASTM F2004-06 standard. Otherwise, we can provide one for the season that has to be returned at the end of your employment. Employees may also purchase a new helmet at a company discount from the ski shop on property. Finally, all helmets have to be worn as intended, and the only graphic design or stickers allowed are those which comply with company policy. Nothing nasty, please. After hour skiing. We all know that skiing after work is great. We get to enjoy the slopes with our friends and coworkers, and all that is fine. The only thing we need to keep in mind is that we cannot do that while wearing our Jiminy uniform. We have to use our own jackets. The same way, if you are a frontline instructor and currently you don't have a lesson, please be sure to wear your own jacket while free skiing until it's time for you to come back down and check if you have a lesson. Harassing Policy. At Jiminy, we take this very seriously. If you are a victim or witness of harassment at work, we ask you to report it to your supervisor, manager, or human resources. All reports will be investigated. Violation to this policy will lead to a disciplinary action that includes termination. And remember that harassment is not only sexual, it could be verbal, by gender, physical, or religious. Smoking policy. Smoking is permitted only in designated areas, not in a building or company vehicle, not in an entrance or exit of a building, not in a logo uniform, not in front of guests, and finally, vaping isn't allowed either. Weather. We all know that in the Berkshires, things can change pretty quickly, and that's why you have to be aware of your own schedule and do your best effort to make it to work without jeopardizing your integrity. Check the weather every morning so you plan ahead of time and prepare to work under changing conditions. Having an extra pair of gloves is always a good idea, or a rain jacket, for example, or hand warmers, toe warmers, etc. Cell phone policy. Do not carry your phone, especially if you work in a safety position like lift operator or ski instructor. A violation to this policy may lead you to a termination. The use of a cell phone is allowed, however, during breaks. Just be sure not to be wearing your Jiminy jacket just because guests may not know that you're on a break. Social media. Being on social platforms while on duty is prohibited, especially if you are working in a safety position. We kindly ask you to talk nice when you make use of them. We all have rough days, but that doesn't mean that you can go ahead and talk bad things about your job, company, or coworkers on social platforms. What you say can have a negative impact, and it does not represent the feeling of your department or company. When posting on social media, make sure you honor the privacy of other people. Do not disclose names or post pictures that may cause discomfort of the people in it, especially if they are minors. A violation to this policy may lead you to a termination. Drug and alcohol policy. This is very simple and straightforward. Do not use or distribute alcohol or drugs at work or on property. A positive result will lead you to an immediate termination. Do not arrive to work under the influence. Reasons to be tested. 1. If you get injured while on the clock and there's a reasonable cause to think that you were actively involved in the accident, then you'll be tested. For instance, if you're skiing and get injured, or if you're transporting gear to the top of the mountain and get in an accident, fixing a piece of machinery, etc. On the other hand, if you're just standing teaching a lesson to a guest and someone hits you from behind on the slopes, then you're not actively responsible for that accident. In that case, you're not tested. Another reason to be tested, if you're responsible for damage to property that is over $250. The third one is reasonable suspicion. And the last one, return to work testing. This only applies to full-time year-round employees that have tested positive and put on a 30-day unpaid leave before. What about marijuana? If it's legal now, what's the big deal? Well, very simple. Alcohol is also legal, but that doesn't mean that you can come to work drunk, right? Missing person. This is a very important slide, so please pay attention. If you ever get a report from a guest of a missing person, this is the procedure we need to follow. 1. Stay with them. We can stress how important this is. In previous years, we would get the report and all of us would go out looking for the missing person. What happened is that in many cases, the guests who reported the missing person and their family would find them and then would go home without letting anybody know. Meanwhile, half Jiminy staff was still looking, so please be sure to stay with the guests who reported the missing person initially. 2. Get all the information. This means names, skier or snowboarder, last place seen, color of their jacket, pants, height, or any other characteristic that may help us find them. Number 3. Then you're going to call Paul Maloney on radio channel 1 or the night supervisor if this is all happening after 4:30 p.m. Finally, if the person is part of a snow sports class, then you'll have to call Rob Rose too. For that, you switch to radio channel 6. Radio codes. This slide is equally important, if not more than the previous one. Given that our radio communication is not encrypted, we have to use certain codes via radio to convey sensitive information. The first one that you need to learn is Radio Code 1, which means there's a potential fatal situation in front of you, and use it very carefully. Radio Code Green, which means you're witnessing an operational disaster. For instance, there are chairs on the lift that are about to collide, or the towers that support the lift cables are leaning back. Active shooter. For this one, we're not going to sugarcoat it. If you find yourself in a situation like this, you're going to grab your radio and shout active shooter, followed by the location. After that, everybody, including you, will switch to radio channel 2 and will remain in silence. COVID-19 procedures. It is not a secret that COVID-19 has changed the way we live our lives. At Jiminy Peak, the health of our employees and guests is paramount. That's why we want to share with you some guidelines and procedures that have to be followed by every single one of us. The new policy is a 4-page document, but here we will give you a brief summary. We hope these recommendations can be helpful in keeping you safe. If you have specific questions, please contact your manager. Boundaries between children and adults. We wanted to give you a couple of key points about this. Given that some of our positions require us to be in contact with children, we would like you to pay attention to them so that you can be protected at all times while working. Never be alone with a child. Do not allow a situation to be misunderstood. Always report a situation that you witness with an employee or guest that is out of the normal. You can always talk to your coworkers and suggest in good spirit a better way to interact with minors. If you're not comfortable having that conversation, you could also go to your supervisor or manager and again, in spirit of improvement, report that situation. Employee benefits. Up to 30% off at just Jiminy and Potter Brothers. The discount will depend on your employment category, full-time year-round, full-time seasonal, or part-time seasonal. 30% discount in food with your discount employee card at any Centerplay concession on property. It doesn't apply to alcohol though. Keep in mind that Centerplay will honor the discount only if you have your discount employee card with you, so please be nice to them since they're just doing their job. 10% discount in food at the country store. It doesn't apply to alcohol either. Free rentals and discount in ski lessons. Also, you have a 30% discount at the repair shop. Ski privilege. Now family members can get their own passes sooner compared to previous years, and there are no blackout days. Check with your manager or the ski privilege form itself for details. You have access to a free day pass at Cranmore and Brownlee with a letter of introduction. Be sure to request this letter ahead of time in the administration center. Your season pass is for you and for you only. Do not share it with other people. A violation will lead you to a termination. And that's all. If you have questions, you can send them to hr@jiminy.com and we will do our best to respond in a timely manner. Have a good season, guys.